So the question is, would you be able to use a normal scissor jack like this to lift your vehicle without having to use the traditional or original handle like this that hooks into the scissor jack on the edge like that to lift your vehicle? And would you maybe be able to do it an easier way with either maybe a impact driver or an impact wrench or perhaps a normal drill? Now, in this case, I do have a cordless tool. This is an 18-volt cordless tool, and these two attachments are loosely available to attach to that tool. Now, how are we going to attach this tool to this little tool or the scissor jack over here? Now, the easiest method that I found was to use a normal socket, and whatever the smaller size is that you can find or that you have that will fit over the flange at the end here without slipping. In my case, this is a 24mm socket, but depending on your size and model of the scissor jack, this would be different. So this fits nicely. You'll see it's able to turn. And in my case, this is a 1-ton jack. This is a very smaller one, actually. You probably do get smaller ones still, but we're going to lift a heavy car. It's going to lift a 2-ton car. This is a sedan, but obviously we're not going to lift the whole car at once. We're only going to lift one of the corners to change a wheel or the brakes or whatever the case may be, just to get the wheel off the ground. So how are we going to attach this tool to this socket to go onto the scissor jack? And the best option I found there was to get one of these adapters, which is an 1/2-inch adapter, which fits into my 1/2-inch socket. And then with the hexagon shaft, it fits into the impact driver like that. And if you're not going to use an impact driver, you can fit it into your drill as well, like that. Obviously, if you've got an impact wrench, it already has got a 1/2-inch adapter at the front. So this should then be able to lift and lower the equipment. Now, I did hear a warning from some people, or read it, that you should not use a scissor jack with one of these electric tools for a reason that will probably damage the thread. So I did a bit of digging into that and found that that often is true. So how can we overcome that problem? So 2 tips that I've got that can overcome that problem is, like your vehicle, your engine and all the departments on your vehicle, it does needs to be maintained and serviced every once in a while. On your engine, you'll change the oil and filters and all those type of things. And the same should go with your equipment as well. In this case, the threaded rod in the middle should be cleaned and oiled along with your car, I reckon. But I don't think anybody really does this. And the problem is that this shaft at the end, where the threaded rod goes through, gets heated up when you use an electronic tool for longer periods or instances at a time and at the higher speed than the normal handle that you normally use. So how can we overcome the problem? First thing, like I mentioned, is oil and clean your threaded rod so it moves through this shaft at the end smoother and it doesn't cause that much heat and friction. And the second tip that I do have is, when you're going to put your impact driver or whatever onto the end of your jack like this, don't lift it all the way or lower it all the way. Lowering might not be that big of a problem because it's going against the weight, but don't lift it from the bottom to all the way lift it up at once. Maybe do it in a few increments, like lift it a bit, stop, lift it a bit, stop, and then just go so on and so on until it's the desired height. And in that way, the threaded rod and the shaft at the end will have little increments of cooling time in between, so that it doesn't get too hot and too much friction all at the same time. And with the oil and the little increments that you do it, that should be enough not to damage this. But we will test it on the vehicle in a moment or two. So let's take all this equipment, go to the vehicle and have a look. Now with the impact driver attached like this, you'll see it's a normal impact driver. It's not an impact wrench like the high torque ones. This is more for screws and things like that. The jack is still loose underneath the car. The car is stationary. It's not going anywhere. There's nothing else holding the car up. And then we'll do it bit by bit, not to put too much heat on the threads or the nut of the jack. Let's see if this is going to work. We'll do it bit by bit only. There we go. Now it's a bit high enough. You'll see the wheel is now up in the air, completely lifted off the ground. What I did notice on a certain part of the thread there was some dirt on there as well. Like you can see along with the oil, there's some pieces of dirt, which did cause a bit of a delay, and that's why it was struggling there for a bit. But always good to leave a few increments in between. Power it a bit, and then release a bit, power it a bit, release it a bit. And that's quite effective. Look at that. The wheel is completely in the air, and that is being able to be swapped or turn over. Didn't have to turn any sling of any sort. Now, once again, this is a normal drill actually with a impact driver attachment. So this is not the strongest there is on the market, but it works quite effective. You can do this with a normal impact wrench as well, which would have a lot more torque. But once again, very important to only do it little bits of increment at a time. And thereafter, it should not be a problem. If you've got a normal drill that's a bit more torqueier than my little drill attachment, my drill attachment has got a little bit, not enough torque to lift this car. This is quite a heavy car. It's more than 2 tons. So it's not being able to lift that completely. It'll be able to drop it without a problem. But to lift, it's not quite strong enough. Let's quickly do an example of that. We'll put this into the drill, tighten it, put the drill attachment on there. You'll see it's easily able to drop the car, just not quite strong enough to lift it, not enough torque. But you do get stronger drills which would be able to do that completely fine. And there we go. With a normal scissor jack like that and a normal impact attachment like that, you're able to lift your car to change a tire or change a wheel. Obviously, if you want to change a tire or a wheel, ideally you would want to put a jack stand or a trestle underneath just for added security, but it's not always necessary if you do have the necessary stops in place, like either a handbrake, emergency brake, or something behind one of the wheels to stop the car from moving. So if you think this is a very useful tip and video, be sure to like it. Also consider subscribing if you haven't done so yet. Until next time, thank you very much, guys.